Ever since what happened with Charlie Kirk, everything has been on fire lately. Lots of game developers have been getting ousted in the recent days for celebrating the passing, and it's really only gotten worse. But what has now become increasingly clear is that there are people within these companies that genuinely want more blood to spill if it means pushing their beliefs higher up the totem pole. This then brings me to Warhammer 40k, something I haven't really spoken about in quite some time, but this verse comes from spikybits.com. As you can see here, where they have an article about the concerns regarding Games Workshop employees and their political beliefs. Essentially what's happening is that there are specific employees at Games Workshop that are celebrating the deaths of their political opponents, and they are refusing to back down. This first brings me to Tom Mendelsohn. Don't harass anyone in this video, by the way. Let's look at what they're saying before anyone jumps the gun here. Look, I know these people are awful, but we can't be as awful as they are. That's not how we win this. You all have to be better than that. So anyway, this Tom Mendelsohn, as seen here, is a content specialist, copywriter, and editor for Games Workshop. He no longer has his public images showing on his LinkedIn account because following all of this happening, allegedly Tom has deleted practically all of his digital online presence. But the internet, of course, was faster than he was because, well, we still got everything, fellas, regardless. Anyway, Tom has 16 years of working in this particular side of the industry, and as you'll come to see, he genuinely hates the consumer base of Warhammer and then some if they don't agree with him. So this begins with Tom Mendelsohn posting a quote by Charlie Kirk on Facebook, which reads, "I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational." Then a user on Facebook would reply to Tom Mendelsohn, trying to bring logic to a conversation with someone who clearly has no interest in any of this, but this is how Tom Mendelsohn reported as seen here. "I don't give a single crap. He's a fascist, word I can't say on YouTube, carrying enormous amounts of water for a side that has no compunctions committing structural and systematic political violence against the working class and the people of Gaza. I will afford him the dignity he afforded his very, very, very many targets, effing zero. How many effing rights of others has he attempted to ban?" This guy swears a lot. And by the way, if you enjoyed the content, consider liking the video, subscribing, and commenting. Thank you very much. But it's obvious that this Tom Mendelsohn guy is not a fan of Charlie, and that he's very happy that he's, gone now. As also seen here, this same guy also celebrates 9/11 as an actual holiday for him, and is happy that thousands of Americans passed away on that day. Yeah, that's real, which means that this Tom Mendelsohn outwardly supports terrorism is what he's saying here. That he's actually okay with people passing as long as, he doesn't agree with them politically. Again, this person works at Games Workshop to this day, at least as of the making of this video anyways. And then there were other employees too, like Michael Brooks. As Spiky Bits reports, this Michael Brooks was found retweeting things via social media that shows that Michael here endorses further political violence. Here's something Michael retweeted, which reads, "This is the line that Democrats need to push. It can't be simply political violence is bad. It must be political violence is bad, and Trump and his ilk are responsible for creating conditions ripe for political violence." So that's a roundabout way of saying that these people believe that it is their moral duty as opposition to those that they disagree with to resort to violence in order to, in their own twisted way, protect that which they believe should be endorsed politically instead. Yeah, they're removing themselves from the equation of accountability, instead trying to claim that the violence simply must happen regardless of what others think. This makes them dangerous, guys. Again, this Michael Brooks of Games Workshop retweeted this according to spikybits.com, and then another Games Workshop employee named Paul Scott Canavan has also insisted that even more political violence should come to those that oppose their beliefs. He said this in 2024 as it reads, "This is absolutely the play. We should be doing this with all these weird creeps, track down their significant others and mothers and string them up." So Paul here wants not only people he disagrees with gone, but he wants their spouses, their mothers, and their entire family strung up. That means hung from a tree, by the way, for simply disagreeing with his political views. Again, all of these people are employed by Games Workshop, which is yes a big problem and shows that maybe not all, but there is definitely a group of radicals that are working at Warhammer 40k and all of that over there. I mean, it doesn't take a genius when Tom Mendelsohn has his banner before he, nuked all his socials, as you can see here, showing a bunch of cats with the word full communism over his own personal account. These people know what they're about, and they are clearly proud of it, which makes what's happening to the game industry and then some even more of a problem for people like this. SpikyBits.com also alleges, and this one I can't confirm myself since they did scrub the name attached to it, but according to SpikyBits, this comment here was also by Michael Brandt, that customer engagement employee that I showed you earlier. But here's what he allegedly said according to SpikyBits. The right is actively doing things that will cause more death in various parts of the world. Canceling US aid, vaccine mandates, access to healthcare. This is tantamount to murder, and I don't like murder, so it's hypocrisy to celebrate the thing we say we don't like. His passing, Charlie Kirk, may make the world a better place. The nature of his passing assuredly doesn't. Again, according to SpikyBits, this is Michael Brandt that said this, but again, I cannot confirm it 100%. However, if he did say this, that's damning, but since the name is scrubbed, it could be a commenter, but either way, since this was found in Games Workshop's employee comment sections, it's still worth highlighting just in case. All of these claims are damning, which further makes what Warhammer has said in the past seem even more out of place. Since in 2021, as also seen here, Games Workshop declared that the Imperium is driven by hate, Warhammer is not. Yet it's very clear that they're harboring people who are indeed full of hate of anyone who opposes them, which sucks to see if I'm being honest. This then brings me to Archcast, a YouTube channel that I'm friendly with. Here is his channel on screen here for you all to see in case you don't know who he is. So Archcast has contacts within Games Workshop that he has spoken to about people like Tom Mendelsohn and more. And according to Archcast's sources, Tom Mendelsohn is described within Games Workshop as a hardcore activist that routinely speaks loudly and proudly of his extreme left-leaning politics within the workplace. According to Archcast as well, this Tom guy has also attempted to get other Games Workshop employees fired on purpose simply because they opposed his views on the world, claiming that they are also fascist or whichever buzzword would fit his agenda. This has been done by Tom according to Arch's contacts before, and Tom has advocated or even gotten other activists hired within Games Workshop as well in the past already. It's the classic birds of a feather tactic, uproot the people who oppose you and then replace them with like-minded individuals instead. Because that way, if someone opposes you in whichever way, you have more leverage and power if others believe and support your cause over that of the opposition's. It's a tactic that has been used to destroy many a studio already, and it's no doubt within Games Workshop as well. And it's really no wonder that with Tom Mendelsohn working at Games Workshop, that the company has taken a far more progressive stance on many things that they likely would never have done in the past. You all know about female custodies and such, how excerpts like this have existed in Warhammer media, like this page as seen here, showing multiple miniatures painted with various identity flags which would never exist within Warhammer as a universe. Users like Thor Odinson, here's their Twitter handle by the way, have been fighting these activists for years now when it comes to the rot within 40k. Here's a post where Thor Odinson has been fighting with another user they claim that they have been at war with for years, who also, like Tom Mendelsohn, wants what they call fascist Yahtzees, and they want them pretty much out of the 40k hobby entirely. But the thing that you need to realize here is that Warhammer, like many other franchises, is being co-opted and ruined by people who want to use these franchises more, as I would say, more like platforms to spew their propaganda than really celebrating the hobby themselves. Thor Odinson also posted the emails of various executives at Games Workshop as well as follow-up emails as you're seeing on screen here. And before someone says this is harassment by showcasing these emails, no, it is not. These people work for a company that sells products to consumers. Their emails are there so that concerned customers can reach them if need be. So by showing this to users, it's actually these links are being used as intended actually. And it's very important to voice your concerns because this division cannot continue. I know not everyone at Games Workshop is a raging activist, and thank God for that, because Warhammer 40k was relatively okay, I guess, until maybe about 5 or so years ago, maybe even 10. So there has been good people there before who unfortunately likely now can't speak up, or these organized groups of crazy people within Games Workshop will speak up against them if they do, which is why it's very important that we as the people speak up for those who cannot. It's not like Games Workshop can really fire me for showing you guys what their employees are saying and calling for, because if you ask me, this is unacceptable. It's not okay. It never is and never will be, no matter which side of the aisle that you're on. I don't want people at, Games Workshop celebrating a liberal person passing away either. I don't want any of this from either side. But what I do think is gross is that this over-politicization of commercial franchises has honestly gone on long enough. These companies, nor their actual paying customer bases, will benefit from the continued destruction of their franchises by these people who believe that they're untouchable. I know you all likely heard of Jimmy Kimmel recently losing his show too for making fun of Charlie Kirk, and it's exactly this. These types have become so normalized to spewing their hate that they actually believe that they could say anything and just get away with it. I mean, they did it for years already, right? They celebrated when their opponents got ruined, like Gina Carano or Roseanne Barr. But now that the shoe is on the other foot, it's now suddenly a problem. Obviously, Games Workshop is allowed to hire anyone that they want, but it's becoming evidently clear who they are hiring is not actually working for their company as a brand in a positive light. And it's not the first time. I mean, Thomas Parrott, who was a writer for Black Library, which is a series of novels and such within Warhammer, was also fired by Games Workshop back in 2020 after an incident. As seen here from July 2020, Thomas's own statement reads, "Black Library has decided to terminate their association with me on the grounds that I'm a poor representative of their brand. This is obviously devastating for me for a lot of reasons. I don't consider it a fair decision on their part, but fair rarely matters in life." Apparently, he defended against a user making fun of gay space marines, and then it led to his termination. But now with Tom Mendelsohn, he's advocating for pretty much the same thing. And as of now anyways, Tom Mendelsohn is still employed there for demanding more nonsense within Warhammer 40k and then some. Look, I'm not personally against gay characters in games, but it's become evidently clear that many franchises have been implementing LGBTQ+ characters at a staggering rate to the point that it's almost everything now. It's clearly being done on purpose, and Warhammer either celebrating or wanting more of that within their franchises doesn't really surprise me either. The issue, however, is when your workers, your writers and artists want nothing but that in their work going forward, that it all starts to paint a realization that there is indeed an agenda at play. Although this does remind me of when just a few months back, the Horus Galaxy subreddit was also purged of its original owners, and their moderators were taken away too by actual Reddit staff because the people who ran Horus Galaxy were not progressives. As seen here in this report from Fandom Pulse way back then, this actually happened. It was a terrible moment for free speech because these Reddit employees quite literally overreached their power into actual fascist territory, and then seized an entire community simply because they didn't agree with it. As the High Lord is here said, who was a part of Horus Galaxy, below Reddit's message there, this is what they said. "Reddit admins have banned another one of our moderators for an arbitrary reason again. See attached image for what they said. This is yet another example of how they seem to be looking for any excuse to target this subreddit simply because we don't conform to the approved way of thinking. It's clear that the goalposts keep moving. We've done our best to follow the rules and conform as much as possible, but it doesn't seem to matter. They will still find a way to come after us. They explicitly threatened further action against the subreddit. We're not sure what will happen next, but if they decide to shut us down, we want to make sure everyone can regroup." It was, like I said, a massive overreach, and now Horus Galaxy is controlled by no one who originally made or existed within that space to begin with. It's now being ran by figureheads put in place by Reddit employees because the people before did not have the right way of thinking. Of course, when this happened, you didn't hear Tom Mendelsohn or really anyone else mentioned here standing up to protect Horus Galaxy outside of users like Thor Odinson. So this entire subreddit was hijacked all because of stupid politics, and one user who used to run Horus Galaxy alongside others posted this picture showing all of the moderators who were removed without warning from the subreddit by Reddit themselves because they weren't progressive enough. So how can I, as a sensible human being, feel remorse for these types of individuals who routinely use their positions to incite discourse or violence like this? If someone like Tom Mendelsohn wants to celebrate 9/11 and claim that Charlie Kirk deserved his fate, and then runs away while burning down his socials in fears of losing his job, how can I really feel sorry for him? Where was Tom when Horus Galaxy got ruined? These people only care about the problems within the community when it goes against what they believe as a hive mind. Notice how I didn't say individuals, because these people are not individuals. They're like a mess of nerves and opinions all moving in unison like some weird alien play. These people can't have morals because they never had them. You can't negotiate with people who claim that 9/11 deserved to happen. That's just wrong. It's terrible. And they're showing us how much of a monster they really are. The fact that it's seen here that Horus Galaxy's subreddit eventually got banned is also crazy. And it also reminds me of Ghost of Yote recently too. I reported on that game in my previous video, but as people found out after, the lead actor in Yote, that's Erika Ishii who plays Atsu, quite literally admitted to a, well, quite damning claim. As seen here, it's a picture of Erika Ishii with her words from 2020 saying, "I'm Antifa, so's my wife." And this was from 5 years ago, and Sucker Punch never removed her from the game despite admitting that she politically aligns with an actual designated terrorist organization. I know this might not have to do per se with Warhammer really, but it all really still connects in the end anyways, which is that people like that Erika Ishii here with Yote, and Tom Mendelsohn and more with Warhammer. These people are all cut from the same cloth, and they are all activists first before anything else. And how can these franchises exist in good faith knowing that the people employed there are all, for lack of a better word, absolutely crazy? Like, what are the chances that almost every Western game has people like this in them, or company even? How can that actually be true? That almost 100% of the time this happens so often? It can only be because what someone like Tom Mendelsohn has been accused of by Archcast's sources, at least, that Mendelsohn, among others, have been working tirelessly to fill the ranks of these companies that they work with like-minded people. Until years later, these companies are so rot-infested, they're like a tree barely clinging to life due to the termite infestation that's swarming its insides. And at that point, you then have to wonder if getting rid of the termites by any means than really fire would be more or less of a mercy to the tree. That's kind of what's happening here. These types are termites, and these companies are being rotted out, okay? And again, at least at Games Workshop, there has to be some sensible people there, since games like Space Marine 2 have been allowed to exist in their non-political form. Before these others, it's just something that keeps happening. Again, here's another activist saying some good news for once the day after Charlie Kirk passed away. And in case you didn't notice, as you can see here in one of Games Workshop's own books, the same one I showed earlier in the video, the one with the Space Marine miniatures being painted with various gender flags, it's the same username in their book that they're selling for money that painted those miniatures, that also said that Charlie Kirk deserved it, as they said, finally some good news. At this point, it's becoming increasingly clear that if these companies want to exist and make money, these monsters have to be held accountable. Because we all know if these types were on the inverse political spectrum, they would have been dealt with swiftly and decisively for sure already. And yet, because they have the right politics, you could say they are allowed to spew this hatred instead, and I think Warhammer fans are sick of this hatred. All fans of anything are. Before, it was just, you can like whatever you want, we can all get along. Now it's, if you don't agree with everything on my list and then some, you're a Yahtzee and you must be censored or taken out even. Is Warhammer okay over there? Does Games Workshop really want these sorts of people to speak for them as a collective? Because people who advocate for violence and terrorism and more, is that really the hill that they want to die on? Personally, I think it's all wrong, but clearly with how things are going with Ghost of Yote, the Jimmy Kimmel thing and more, the tide is shifting even more. I think people are finally waking up to the fact that there are actual monsters that are living near us, and we don't need to put up with their horrific worldviews any longer. And if Warhammer was truly for everyone, it needs to condemn the clear radicals within its ranks that doesn't want Warhammer to be for everyone. And it needs to happen before it's too late. But what do you think? Should Games Workshop do anything about this? Are these people fine to work at Games Workshop while also admitting publicly that they wish for more violence? Can you forgive and move on or not? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.